Respiration. Activity 5.4. Take some freshly prepared lime water in a test tube. Blow air through this lime water. Notice how long it takes for the lime water to turn milky. Use a syringe to pass air through some fresh lime water taken in another test tube. Note how long it takes for this lime water to turn milky. What does this tell about the amount of carbon dioxide in the air that we breathe out? Activity 5.5. Take some fruit juice or sugar solution and add some yeast to this. Take this mixture in a test tube fitted with one old cork. Fill the cork with a bent glass tube. Dip the free end of the glass tube into a test tube containing freshly prepared lime water. What change is observed in the lime water and how long does it take for this change to occur? What does this tell us about the product of fermentation? We have discussed nutrition in organisms in the last section. The food material taken in during the process of nutrition is used in cells to provide energy for various life processes. Diverse organisms do this in different ways. Some use oxygen to break down glucose completely into carbon dioxide and water. Some use other pathways that do not involve oxygen. In all cases, the first step is the breakdown of glucose, a 6 carbon molecule, into a 3 carbon molecule called pyruvate. This process takes place in the cytoplasm. Further, the pyruvate may be converted into ethanol and carbon dioxide. This process takes place in yeast during fermentation. Since this process takes place in the absence of air, oxygen, it is called anaerobic respiration. Breakdown of pyruvate using oxygen takes place in the mitochondria. This process breaks up the 3 carbon pyruvate molecule to give 3 molecules of carbon dioxide. The other product is water. Since this process takes place in the presence of air, oxygen, it is called aerobic respiration. The release of energy in this aerobic process is a lot greater than in the anaerobic process. Sometimes, when there's a lack of oxygen in our muscles, another pathway for the breakdown of pyruvate is taken. Here, the pyruvate is converted into lactic acid, which is also a 3 carbon molecule. This buildup of lactic acid in our muscles during sudden activity causes cramps. The energy released during cellular respiration is immediately used to synthesize a molecule called ATP, which is used to fuel all the other activities in the cell. In these processes, ATP is broken down, giving rise to a fixed number of energy which can drive the endothermic reaction taking place in the cell. ATP is the energy currency for most cellular processes. The energy released during the process of respiration is used to make an ATP molecule from ADP and inorganic phosphates. ADP plus P energy gives ADP P which equals ATP. Endothermic process in the cell then use this ATP to drive the reaction. When the terminal phosphate linkage in ATP is broken using water, energy equivalent to 3.30.5 kilojoules slash mole is released. Think of how a battery can provide energy for many different kinds of uses. It can be used to obtain a mechanical energy, light energy, electrical energy, and so on. Similarly, ATP can be used in the cell for contraction of muscles, protein synthesis, conduction of nerve impulses, and many other activities. Since the aerobic respiration pathway depends on oxygen, aerobic organisms need to ensure that there is sufficient intake of oxygen. We have seen that plants exchange gases through stomata, and the large intercellular spaces ensures that all cells are in contact with the air. Carbon dioxide and oxygen are exchanged by diffusion here. They can go into cells or away from them into the air. The direction of diffusion depends upon the environmental condition and the requirement of the plant. At night, when there's no photosynthesis occurring, CO2 elimination is the major exchange activity going on. During the day, CO2 generated during the respiration is used up for photosynthesis. Hence, there is no CO2 release. Instead, oxygen release is the major event at this time. Animals have evolved different organs for the uptake of oxygen from the environment and for getting rid of carbon dioxide produced. Terrestrial animals can breathe the oxygen in the atmosphere, but animals that will live in water need to use the oxygen dissolved in water. Activity 5.6. Observe fish in an aquarium. They open and close their mouths and their gill slits or operculum, which covers the gill slits. Behind the eyes also open and close. Are the timing of opening and closing of mouth and gill slit coordinated in some manner? Count the number of times the fish opens and closes its mouth in a minute. Since the amount of dissolved oxygen is fairly low compared to the amount of oxygen in the air, rate of breathing in aquatic organisms is much faster than that terrestrial organisms. Fishes take in water through their mouth and force it past the gills where the dissolved oxygen is taken up by the blood. Terrestrial organisms use the oxygen in the atmosphere for respiration. This oxygen is absorbed by different organs in the different animals. All these organs have a structure that increases the surface area which is in contact with the oxygen-rich atmosphere. Since the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide has to take place across this surface is very fine and delicate. In order to protect this surface, it is usually placed within the body, so there has to be a passage that will take air to this area. In addition, there is a mechanism for moving the air in and out of this area where the oxygen is absorbed. In human beings, air is taken to the body through the nostrils. The air passing through the nostrils fitted by the fine hairs that line the passage. Passage is also lined with mucus which helps in the process. From here, the air passes through the throat and into the lungs. Rings of cartilage are present in the throat. These ensure that the air passage does not collapse. Within the lungs, the passage divides into smaller and smaller tubes which finally terminate in balloon-like structures that are called alveoli, singular alveolus. The alveoli provide a surface where the exchange of gases can take place. The walls of the alveoli contain an extensive network of blood vessels. As we have seen in earlier years, when we breathe in, we lift our hips and flatten our diaphragm. The chest cavity becomes larger as a result. Because of this, the air is sucked uh, into the lungs and fill the expanded alveoli. The blood brings carbon dioxide from the rest of the body for release into the alveoli. The oxygen in the alveolar air is taken up by the blood in the alveolar blood vessels to be transported to all cells in the body. During the breathing cycle, when air is taken in and let out, the lungs always contain a residual volume of air so that there is sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and for carbon dioxide to be released. When an embodied of animal is lost, the dilution process alone cannot take care of oxygen delivery to all parts of the body. Instead, respiratory pigments take up oxygen from the air in the lungs and carry it to tissues which are deficient in oxygen for releasing it. Human beings, the respiratory pigment is hemoglobin, which has high affinity for oxygen. This pigment is present in the red blood corpuscles. Carbon dioxide is more soluble in water than oxygen and is henceforth mostly transported in the dissolved form in our blood. Smoking is injurious to health. Lung cancer is one of the common causes of deaths in the world. The upper part of the respiratory tract is provided with small hair-like structures called cilia. Cilia help remove germs, dust, and other harmful particles from inhaled air. Smoking destroys these hairs due to its germs, dust, smoke, and other harmful chemicals enter the lungs and cause infection, cough, and even lung cancer.